The warning. First Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the helm of the ESS Prometheus, her weathered hands clasped behind her back as she watched the massive fleet emerge from quantum space. 2,000 ships of varying sizes materialized in perfect formation, their sleek hulls gleaming under the light of an unfamiliar star. The coordinates were precise. This was the heart of Confederation space, directly above their capital world of Centauri Prime. The mission clock counted down. In exactly 30 seconds, the Confederation would receive humanity's message, carefully crafted after 300 years of enforced isolation. Chen allowed herself a small smile, remembering the stories her grandmother had told her about the day the aliens had come to Earth, bearing what they called protective quarantine for humanity's own good. "All ships report ready, Admiral," announced her XO, Commander Jackson. Quantum communication arrays aligned and synchronized. Chen nodded, her dark eyes fixed on the blue-green world below. The Confederation's mighty capital, home to the species that had decided humanity was too dangerous to join galactic society. They'd placed Earth under an isolation field, claiming it was temporary, just until humans matured enough to be trusted. "Begin transmission," Chen ordered. The quantum arrays of 2,000 ships activated simultaneously, broadcasting on all Confederation frequencies. On every screen and holographic display across Centauri Prime, the same image appeared: a human woman in a crisp military uniform, speaking directly to the camera. "Greetings, citizens of the Galactic Confederation. I am First Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Space Force. 300 years ago, your government decided that humanity was too volatile, too unpredictable to join galactic society. You placed our world under quarantine, believing you could contain us until we became more acceptable to your standards." Chen paused, letting the words sink in. Below, she could see Confederation defense platforms beginning to power up, their weapon systems coming online. But they hadn't fired yet. They were too shocked by the massive fleet that had appeared from nowhere, using technology the Confederation had thought impossible for humans to develop. "What you fail to understand is that isolation doesn't breed docility. It breeds innovation. You gave us no choice but to become stronger, smarter, more resourceful than you could imagine. While you watched our quarantined world, believing us safely contained, we were building, learning, growing." On secondary channels, Chen's fleet was broadcasting proof, images of vast human colonies on worlds the Confederation had never discovered, shipyards hidden in the hearts of gas giants, quantum technology that surpassed anything in known space. 3 centuries of secret progress revealed in an instant. "We didn't come for revenge," Chen continued, her voice carrying the weight of generations. "We came to show you that your judgment was wrong. Humanity isn't a threat to galactic peace. We're its best hope. Your Confederation has grown stagnant, enforcing uniformity at the cost of progress. We believe in something better." The defense platforms were fully powered now, their targeting systems locked on Chen's fleet, but they hadn't fired, and she knew they wouldn't. The Confederation's leaders were too intelligent not to realize what it meant that humans had breached their supposedly impenetrable quarantine field and appeared undetected above their capital. "This is both a demonstration and an invitation. In the next 24 hours, we will disable, not destroy, every major military installation in Confederation space. We'll do it without firing a shot or taking a single life. When we're done, you'll understand that your attempt to contain humanity didn't protect the galaxy. It deprived it of allies it desperately needs." Chen gestured, and Commander Jackson initiated the second phase. Across her fleet, thousands of quantum probes launched simultaneously, each carrying a payload that would revolutionize warfare in Confederation space. But these weapons weren't designed to destroy. They were designed to demonstrate. "Watch carefully," Chen said to her unseen audience. "Learn what humanity has become. Then ask yourselves, do you want us as enemies or as equals?" The probes reached their targets, and one by one, Confederation defense platforms began to power down, their supposedly unhackable systems overcome by quantum algorithms 3 centuries ahead of their time. In orbit above Centauri Prime, mighty warships found their weapons disabled by technology they couldn't even detect. "The choice is yours," Chen concluded. "We'll await your response. But remember, we're not the primitive species you try to contain. We're humanity, and we're here to change the galaxy for the better. Whether we do that with you or despite you is up to you." As the transmission ended, Chen turned to her crew, seeing in their faces the same pride and determination that had driven their ancestors to break free of their containment. They weren't here for revenge or conquest. They were here to prove that humanity's greatest strength wasn't its technology or its military might, but its unwavering belief that the galaxy could be better than it was. "And now," Chen said quietly, "we wait to see if they're wise enough to understand what we're offering." The mission clock reset, beginning a 24-hour countdown. Above Centauri Prime, 2,000 ships held position, their presence a testament to human ingenuity and a promise of change to come. The galaxy was about to learn that trying to contain humanity had been more than a mistake. It had been a missed opportunity. Dr. Maya Patel stood in the observation dome of Research Station Prometheus, watching as holographic displays showed the ongoing demonstration of human power across Confederation space. Each blue dot represented a military installation being systematically disabled by quantum probes, a technology she had helped develop during humanity's long isolation. "Quite a sight, isn't it?" came a familiar voice. Maya turned to see Admiral Chen entering the dome, her uniform slightly wrinkled after hours at battle stations. The two women had worked together for years, knowing this day would eventually come. 300 years of preparation. Finally revealed, Maya replied, gesturing at a particular cluster of displays, showing Confederation scientists frantically trying to understand how their defenses were being bypassed. They still don't understand what they're seeing. Their sensors can't even detect the quantum fields we're using. Chen moved to stand beside her, watching the tactical displays. "Tell me again how it all started. The younger generation should never forget what drove us to this point." Maya smiled, remembering the stories passed down through generations of scientists and engineers. "It began the day after they contained us. While most of Earth panicked at being cut off from the stars, a group of scientists noticed something interesting about the containment field. It wasn't just a barrier. It was a window into technologies we'd never imagined." The displays showed another wave of defensive platforms going dark, their weapons and shields disabled by invisible quantum intrusion. The Confederation thought they were imprisoning us, but they actually gave us the greatest gift possible, a working example of advanced technology to study. Every attempt they made to strengthen the containment field taught us more. "And they never suspected?" Chen asked, though she knew the answer. "How could they? Their sensors only showed what we wanted them to see, a primitive civilization gradually developing basic spaceflight, apparently contained and harmless. Meanwhile, we were building research stations inside Jupiter's storms, mining antimatter from Saturn's rings, and developing quantum technology that went beyond anything they'd imagined." Maya walked to another display, showing the vast network of hidden human colonies and installations that had been established during their isolation. The containment field only covered our solar system. They never thought to look for slower-than-light colony ships that had launched before the quarantine. Those early colonists suffered greatly, but they gave us our first footholds beyond Sol. "And those footholds became our hidden empire," Chen added softly. "More than that," Maya corrected. "They became our laboratories. Each colony developed different specialties, different approaches to solving our problems. The Confederation's greatest mistake was assuming isolation would stifle human creativity. Instead, it forced us to become more innovative than we'd ever been." The tactical displays shifted, showing the current positions of the human fleet. 2,000 ships visible above Centauri Prime, but thousands more waited in quantum space, hidden from Confederation sensors. Each vessel represented decades of technological evolution, powered by innovations that had come from humanity's determination to break free. The quantum drives were our biggest breakthrough, Maya continued, pride evident in her voice. Once we understood the principles behind the containment field, we realized space itself was more flexible than the Confederation knew. Their faster-than-light drives punch through space. Ours slit between its layers. That's why they never saw us coming. And now, Chen asked, what do you think they'll do when they realize just how far ahead of them we've gotten? Maya studied the displays thoughtfully. They have two choices. They can admit they were wrong about humanity and work with us to advance galactic civilization, or they can cling to their fear and force us to demonstrate even more of what we've developed. A new alert flashed across the displays. The Confederation Council was requesting communication with the human fleet. Chen straightened her uniform, preparing to return to her ship. Which option do you think they'll choose? They're proud, but they're not stupid, Maya replied. Look at how their scientists are reacting to our quantum probes. They're not angry, they're fascinated. 3 centuries of technological stagnation under the Confederation's restrictive policies, and suddenly they're seeing possibilities they never imagined. That's why we chose this approach, Chen said. Not to humiliate them, but to wake them up. To show them what's possible when you embrace progress instead of fearing it. Maya nodded, remembering all the generations of human scientists and engineers who had worked in secret, preparing for this moment. We're not just showing them our strength, we're offering them a future, one where humanity's drive to explore and innovate isn't seen as a threat, but as the asset it truly is. Chen's communicator chimed. The Confederation Council was waiting. Time to see if they're ready to accept that future, the Admiral said, turning to leave. Keep monitoring the quantum grid. If they try anything foolish, they won't, Maya assured her. We've given them too much to think about. When you speak to the Council, remind them, we could have used this technology for destruction. Instead, we're using it to prove a point. That's the difference they fail to understand about humanity. We don't want to conquer the galaxy. We want to improve it. As Chen left the observation dome, Maya returned her attention to the displays. Across Confederation space, their quantum probes continued their work, systematically demonstrating that 3 centuries of human innovation had produced something unprecedented. Power wielded not for dominance, but for progress. The galaxy was about to change, and humanity would lead the way. Commander David Santos watched from the bridge of the ESS Artemis as the Confederation's 3rd Fleet dropped out of hyperspace. 500 warships, the pride of their naval force, arranged in attack formation. Their energy signatures blazed on his tactical display, weapon systems charged and shields at maximum. Well, he said to his crew, looks like they chose the hard way. The Confederation Council's response to humanity's demonstration had been predictably stubborn. They demanded immediate surrender, threatening overwhelming force if the human fleet didn't stand down. They didn't understand that this was exactly the scenario humanity had prepared for. All ships, execute Operation Looking Glass, Santos ordered. Around him, 20 human vessels, a tiny fraction of their fleet, activated their quantum matrices. To Confederation sensors, it would appear as if the ships were powering down their weapons, appearing to submit. The enemy fleet moved closer, their commander broadcasting on all frequencies. Human vessels, you will power down completely and prepare to be boarded. Any resistance will be met with lethal force. Santos smiled. Execute Phase 2. The quantum matrices pulsed, and suddenly the 20 human ships seemed to multiply. Hundreds of perfect holographic duplicates appeared, each one generating quantum signatures identical to real vessels. The Confederation fleet's targeting systems went haywire, unable to distinguish real ships from phantoms. Sir, his tactical officer reported, they're launching fighters, 300 squadrons. Right on schedule, Santos nodded. Deploy the Pixies. From each human ship, swarms of tiny drones emerged, quantum-powered devices that had taken decades to perfect. Each one was smaller than a human hand, but carried technology that would revolutionize space warfare. The pixies darted between the incoming fighters, their quantum fields interfering with targeting systems, navigation, and weapons. Confederation fighters began spinning out of control, their pilots unable to maintain course as the pixies rewrote the local laws of physics around them. Not a single shot had been fired, but the attack had been completely neutralized. Commander David Santos watched from the bridge of the ESS Artemis as the Confederation's Third Fleet dropped out of hyperspace. 500 warships, the pride of their naval force, arranged in attack formation. Their energy signatures blazed on his tactical display, weapon systems charged and shields at maximum. "Well," he said to his crew, "looks like they chose the hard way." The Confederation Council's response to humanity's demonstration had been predictably stubborn. They demanded immediate surrender, threatening overwhelming force if the human fleet didn't stand down. They didn't understand that this was exactly the scenario humanity had prepared for. "They're bringing their capital ships into range," the tactical officer announced. "Energy readings suggest they're preparing to fire their main guns." Santos tapped his console, opening a channel to the Confederation flagship. "This is Commander Santos of the Earth Space Force. Before you fire, I suggest you look at your rear scanners." He knew exactly what they would see. While their attention had been focused on the apparent confrontation, quantum slip-capable human ships had emerged behind them, completing a perfect encirclement. The Third Fleet, pride of the Confederation Navy, was now surrounded by an enemy they couldn't effectively target, using technology they couldn't understand. "Last chance," Santos broadcast. "Power down your weapons, and let's talk about the future. We don't want to damage your ships or harm your crews. But if you force this confrontation, we will demonstrate exactly why trying to contain humanity was your greatest mistake." On his tactical display, he watched as the Confederation fleet held position, their weapons still hot. For a moment, he thought they would force the issue. Then, one by one, their energy signatures began to fade as they powered down their weapons. "A wise choice," Santos said. "Now let's discuss how we can work together to build something better than the old Confederation, something that embraces progress instead of fearing it." His communications officer looked up. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from Admiral Chen. The Confederation Council is requesting an immediate emergency session. They want to discuss terms." Santos nodded, remembering all the simulations and preparations that had led to this moment. Humanity had spent 3 centuries planning not just for war, but for peace. They had developed their technology not to conquer, but to convince. "Send word to the Admiral," he ordered. "Tell her Operation Looking Glass was a complete success. The Confederation has seen what we can do, and more importantly, what we chose not to do. Phase 1 of our demonstration is complete." As the Third Fleet stood down, Santos looked at the holographic displays showing both fleets intermixed in space. Confederation ships, mighty but suddenly obsolete, floating alongside human vessels that represented 300 years of hidden progress. It was a powerful image, the past and the future together, at a moment of transition. "Send a message to all ships, both human and Confederation," he said. "The fighting is over. Now the real work begins. We're going to show them why humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our tactics. It's our ability to imagine and build a better future." Around him, the quantum matrices powered down, the phantom ships fading away. But the message they had delivered would remain. Humanity hadn't just broken free of containment. They had transcended it, emerging as something greater than their would-be jailers had ever imagined. The galaxy would never be the same. The Alliance. Ambassador Kira Patel stood before the massive doors of the Confederation Grand Assembly, taking a moment to appreciate the irony. 3 days ago, humanity had demonstrated their ability to disable any military installation in Confederation space. Now they were being invited inside the most sacred chambers of galactic governance. The doors swung open silently, revealing a vast circular chamber. Representatives of 500 species filled the tiered seats, their murmurs echoing off ancient walls. Some faces showed fear, others curiosity, and a surprising number displayed poorly hidden excitement. "The human representative may approach," announced High Speaker Ven, his crystalline form catching the light from above. The traditional opening felt different today. Less a command, more a request. Kira walked to the central platform, her steps measured and confident. She carried no weapons or no defensive shields. Her only protection was the quantum communicator disguised as a simple brooch, a reminder that humanity's technology now surpassed anything in this chamber. "Esteemed representatives of the Galactic Confederation," she began, her voice clear and strong. "3 days ago, we demonstrated what humanity has become. Today, we offer you a choice about what the galaxy will become." The chamber erupted in overlapping voices. Some demanded punishment for humanity's show of force. Others called for immediate technological exchange. A few even suggested humanity should take control of the Confederation entirely. High Speaker Ven raised his arms for silence. "You have violated our containment, developed prohibited technologies, and established unauthorized colonies. Why should we not consider this an act of war?" "Because you've already seen how we wage war," Kira replied calmly. "Or rather, how we choose not to. We disabled your most powerful fleet without causing a single casualty. We could have destroyed your military installations. Instead, we simply proved they could not stop us." She gestured, and holographic displays appeared around the chamber, showing recordings from the confrontation with the Third Fleet. "Look at our technology. We didn't develop it for conquest. Every advancement was designed to minimize harm while maximizing effectiveness. Even our quantum drives were created to slip through space without causing the damage your hyperspace engines do." A representative of the Treyarch Collective, known for their scientific achievements, leaned forward. "How did you advance so quickly? 3 centuries is nothing in technological development." Kira smiled. "Because you gave us no choice. Isolation forced us to innovate. Every problem became an opportunity. When we couldn't expand outward, we looked inward. When conventional physics wasn't enough, we explored quantum mechanics. When resources were scarce, we developed better ways to use them. And now?" asked a Meridian elder, their feathered crest rippling with interest. "What do you want from us?" "Partnership," Kira said simply. "The Confederation was founded on the principle of unity, but it became focused on control. You contained us because you feared we were too unpredictable, too innovative. But look at what that fear cost you. 3 centuries of technological stagnation while we leaped forward." She walked the circumference of the platform, making eye contact with representatives from each major species. "We're not here to dismantle the Confederation. We're here to help it evolve. Imagine what we could achieve together. Your stability and experience combined with our innovation and adaptability." "And if we refuse?" High Speaker Ven asked, though his tone suggested he already knew the answer. "Then we'll continue our own path," Kira replied. "But ask yourselves, do you want to watch from inside your technological barrier as humanity continues to advance, or do you want to advance with us?" A low murmur ran through the chamber as representatives began discussing among themselves. Kira noticed several species, particularly the younger, more progressive ones, already forming into groups, likely preparing to support humanity's proposal. "There is another option," came a voice from the upper tiers. Ambassador Exer of the Hegemony, known for their hardline conservative views. "We could combine our forces, overwhelm you with sheer numbers." "You could try," Kira interrupted politely. "But consider this. You've seen only a fraction of what we can do. We showed you our defensive capabilities. Do you really want to force us to demonstrate our offensive ones?" The threat was clear but delivered with such diplomatic grace that even Thor couldn't take offense. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. High Speaker Ven's crystalline form shimmered, a sign of deep thought among his species. "Perhaps," he said slowly, "it is time for the Confederation to remember its original purpose. Not to control, but to unite. Not to restrict, but to grow." Kira nodded. That's all we're asking for. A chance to help the galaxy grow beyond its self-imposed limitations. To show you that innovation doesn't have to be feared. It can be embraced and guided. Around the chamber, more and more representatives were nodding. The tide was turning. Humanity's demonstration of power had opened the door, but it was their demonstration of restraint that was winning hearts and minds. "We will need time to deliberate," Venn announced. "But I believe I speak for many when I say that humanity has proven itself to be not what we expected." "We rarely are," Kira smiled. "That's what makes us human." Dawn of change. 1 year after humanity's return to galactic society, the observation deck of the New Horizons space station hummed with activity. The massive structure, built through a joint effort between human and Confederation engineers, hung in space at the exact coordinates where the containment field had once stood. Now it served as a symbol of cooperation rather than isolation. Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the main viewport, watching ships from across the galaxy dock with the station. The quantum drives that had once been humanity's secret were now being shared with trusted allies, revolutionizing space travel throughout Confederation space. Below her, Earth shone like a jewel, no longer imprisoned but serving as a beacon of innovation. "Quite a change from last year," Dr. Maya Patel said, joining her at the viewport. The scientist had been instrumental in helping other species understand and adapt human technologies. The Treyarch Collective just announced their first successful quantum communication network. "How are they handling the transition?" Chen asked, knowing that some species had struggled more than others with the rapid technological changes. "Better than expected. Once they stopped trying to understand quantum mechanics through their traditional physics models, they made remarkable progress." Maya gestured to a sleek vessel approaching the station. "That's one of their new hybrid designs, Treyarch engineering with human quantum technology." The ship was beautiful, representing the best of both civilizations. It wasn't alone. Around the station, vessels of various species displayed similar collaborations, proof that the galaxy was entering a new era of cooperative development. "Ambassador Patel's waiting in the conference room," Maya added. "The final negotiations are ready to begin." Chen nodded, taking one last look at the view. The past year had been challenging, transforming humanity's demonstration of power into a lasting peace. But the results had exceeded even their most optimistic projections. In the conference room, representatives from 30 species sat around a circular table. Some, like the Meridians and Treyarch, had been early supporters of partnership with humanity. Others, like the hegemony, had taken longer to convince, but all were here for the same historic moment. Ambassador Kira Patel stood as Chen entered. "Admiral, welcome to the founding of the new Galactic Alliance." The room hummed with anticipation. This wasn't just another treaty. It was the beginning of a fundamental restructuring of galactic society. The old Confederation, built on control and restriction, was being replaced by something new. "Before we sign," Chen said, addressing the gathering, "I want to remind everyone why we're here. A year ago, humanity demonstrated that we could have taken control by force. Instead, we chose a different path. We showed you our advancements not to threaten, but to inspire." She activated a holographic display, showing the progress made in just 1 year. Quantum technology had revolutionized everything from communication to medical science. Environmental restoration projects were healing damaged worlds. New colonies were being established using methods that preserved native ecosystems. But the greatest achievement, Chen continued, isn't technological. It's the change in how we view our differences. The old Confederation saw diversity as a threat to be controlled. The new alliance sees it as a strength to be celebrated. Ambassador Exer of the hegemony, once their strongest opponent, spoke up. "We were wrong about humanity." The admission clearly difficult but sincere. "We saw your adaptability as dangerous. Now we understand it's essential for survival and growth." Kira stepped forward, holding the quantum tablet containing the Alliance Charter. "This document represents more than just a political agreement. It's a commitment to a new way of thinking. No more containment of species deemed too unpredictable. No more suppression of technological advancement. Instead, we'll face the galaxy's challenges together, each contributing our unique strengths. One by one, representatives signed the charter. Each signature was met with quiet satisfaction, the kind that came from knowing they were part of something historic. There will be challenges, Chen acknowledged as the last signature was recorded. Change never comes easily. But look how far we've come in just 1 year. Imagine what we can achieve in a century, in a millennium. The quantum tablet glowed as it processed the final signature. Across the galaxy, news of the Alliance's formation was being broadcast. But here, in this room, the moment felt intimate and profound. 300 years ago, Chen said softly, the Confederation tried to contain humanity because they feared what we might become. They never imagined that their actions would lead to this, a stronger, more united galaxy, not through force or control, but through cooperation and shared progress. Through the conference room's windows, Earth was visible, turning slowly in the darkness of space. The containment field that had imprisoned it was gone, replaced by streams of ships coming and going freely. Humanity had not just broken free. They had helped forge something greater than their imprisonment. The dawn of a new era, Kira announced formally. The new Galactic Alliance is now reality. As celebrations began across the station, Chen shared a quiet look with Maya. They had done more than prove humanity's worth to the galaxy. They had shown that the greatest power wasn't in weapons or technology, but in the ability to turn adversity into opportunity, fear into hope, and isolation into connection. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was exactly what humanity had been working toward all along.